Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Generic Ad.
Join us every Wednesday as we talk about films that seem to be forgotten by audiences, whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time or the film simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the film, maybe don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. You never know, you might find your own forgotten gem. Forgotten Cinema is available wherever you get your podcasts or at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or ForgottenEntertainment.com, as we are a proud part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
I swear I talk more in the episodes.
Hello, and welcome to Recent Activity, your new favorite entertainment review podcast that attempts to cover every film, every show, all at once. I am your co-host, Andrew Morgan. With me, as always, fresh from a round of nude fighting at the beach, Mr. Shane Beauregard. How are you, sir?
I wish, brother. I wish. I'd wrestle with Jennifer Lawrence naked on the beach any day.
Any day. And again, I don't think that's a spoilerish thing to say. But if anything, it's an encouraging thing to say for people. As I was talking to, I did I'll talk about it later more specifically, but today I did a triple header at the movie theater. And I know a lot of people at my local movie theater. I used to work with them when I worked at the old movie theater. And just when I was getting it recommended, like, hey, man, you should go check out that No Hard Feelings movie. I'm like, yeah, I'm going. And he's like, yeah, no, a lot of, like, you know, teens and 20-year-old boys are like going in there, like checking it out. I'm like, yeah, no, I heard, it's a sex comedy, whatever, I get it. And then I get out there and he's like, yeah, I've seen some parts, you'll like it. And I go out and I tell him about the nude fight scene or whatever. And he was just like, oh yeah, I gotta check that out later. Like, it was like just a bro conversation. He had no idea, and he was doing the hard sell on me before then. So that's pretty funny. On today's show, later on, we will do the breakdown of my movie marathon, as well as catch up with what Shane thought of No Hard Feelings, as that is one of the movies that I saw today and Shane has seen previously. Plus, up top here, we will do kind of like a TV wrap-up thing where, as promised, I guess, you could say from last week, us talking about The Bear, as well as our favorite TV shows of the year so far last week. Kind of wanted to check in with you, Shane, because we both wrapped up the second season of The Bear after we spoke last week. And now that we also had our top fives out there, you finished the season, all that, where does it rank for you? And what did you think of the last few episodes, including that big pivotal episode 6 that you only got partially through? That is a hell of a one to end on.
Yeah, 6 was, again, gave me anxiety just watching that episode. I think that's a general feeling just from the social media.
Oh, God, yeah.
Of everyone who watched it. They're like, oh, my God, that was hard to watch. And it was. It was a hard watch.
Yeah.
And, but, man, it was great. I loved the follow-up episode, Forks.
It was my favorite of the season. I'm Team Richie all the way.
Yeah, it was a great episode where Richie kind of finds his purpose and kind of gets his head on straight. It was phenomenal. And you think everything's going great until the walk-in freezer. And it's like, God, they can't have anything nice. Like, nothing nice can happen to these people.
I know.
And
hell of a callback, though.
Yeah, I know. I won't spoil it for people who haven't finished the season, but it is better than the first season, which is really hard for me to say.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal season. And I was going to ask you, because I picked up on this, and I don't know how many people who watched this series picked up on it.
Mm-hmm.
But the episode where Marcus is talking to William Poulter in Copenhagen.
Yes.
And Poulter's telling the story of how he thought he was a hot shot until he worked at a 3-star in Chicago.
Right.
And he worked with a younger chef who then he realized he wasn't as good as he thought he was because that chef worked so fast.
Right.
And then Marcus is like, well, you're Scottie Pippen. He was Michael Jordan. Not wrong being Pippen.
Right.
But then at the end, and he never drops a name, but at the end of the Forks episode, you see Richie walking down the hallway.
Yeah, and he sees the picture, yeah.
And he seems to picture Carmy and William Poulter. I don't think a lot of people got that connection, but he was talking about Carmy going to Chicago. I thought that was a neat way to kind of like wrap that up a little bit without dropping Carmy's name. And again, if you didn't pick up on it, it took me like after that, I'm like, oh shit, that's the Pippen thing he was talking about.
Right.
Just great. Jamie Lee Curtis just some of her best acting in quite a while as the mom, even though she was only like an episode and a quarter, maybe.
Right.
My assumption is she'll be a bigger part of season 3 is my guess, but man, what a way to wrap up. I could watch the show again starting tomorrow and be just as fulfilled watching the show. It would have ranked, it probably would have been my number 2 show behind The Last of Us.
Yeah, to me, like I tried to pitch you last week that this would have been my number 1 without completing it, and I felt wrong for doing so. Now I'm right. Full force. Yeah. It's my number 1. Yeah. It's not even close. To me, this show is just, like I said last week, where it's like one part an anxiety attack, one part like elegant ASMR calming feeling for me on certain episodes. You're right about the Carmy Marcus thing. I didn't really pick that up, mostly because I forgot about the age that he said. But yeah, no, it's a good pickup by you. But man, that show doesn't even need like deep dive coy things. Like it's such an amazing level where things that don't fully even pay off in my mind, like even in that episode with Marcus, like when he saves the guy on the street, it's like I don't see what that does for the show or for Marcus, but I was just like, that was interesting. I don't care. Like it just works. The show is never boring. It's always fascinating. The personalities here, like I said to you last time, where if they do an individual episode like the Marcus one, I'm not mad at it, versus some other shows I'm like, this just feels like a waste of time. This one, the bench is so deep and the characters are so necessary to be expanded upon that you need all that to enjoy this show. Because I like it that it's not just about Carmy. You know, because this show easily could be about him and mental illness or whatever the experiences of like the highs and lows or the fall off of, you know, being such a big time chef and all that stuff. Instead, it's just so layered and I can't get enough of it. And you're right. It's instantly rewatchable. I don't know what it is about the show exactly, but whether it's the pacing, whether it's the 30-minute runtime or whatnot, but I literally, like, if I finished it and I wanted to and I had enough time, I would just instantly just run it back and I would be totally fine with that. So yeah, this is instantly my number 1. So come at me, folks, for if you don't like that. Or, you know, we didn't hear a lot of flack from our last episode. So I think, you know, maybe the rankings we did were pretty solid on that. And I can't fault your Last of Us. We covered it extensively and it has a different type of vibe. But yeah, definitely this one is one of the best I've seen and better than season 1. I agree. Right. But you also caught up on another show that's kind of been more recent, although your face seems like maybe the experience wasn't as good, was something on Peacock. So what did you check out there?
Yeah, on the old Peacock, I checked out the entire first season of Based on a True Story.
Right.
With Kaylee Cuoco, is that how you pronounce her name?
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Messina and Tom Bateman. And essentially she plays like a struggling pregnant real estate agent. Her husband, played by Chris Messina, is a fallen tennis prodigy who once beat Federer in his life, but now is a tennis pro at a country club. And they're struggling to make ends meet. And they come across their plumber because they needed some help in the house. And they find out, no spoiler, he's a serial killer. So, and Kaylee Cuoco's character, she's into murder mysteries. She has a clique of housewives that they set up and they listen to all these podcasts. So their idea was to pitch him on a live podcast and interview him as he's doing his thing, kind of, right? So they're all incognito and just stuff starts to kind of roll downhill from there, as you can imagine.
Sure.
It was an enjoyable watch. Again, I like Chris Messina. I've only seen him in a handful of things. He was like in season of The Sinner. I think it was season 3.
Right.
But good chemistry. It's funny. It's black humor. Tom Bateman as the serial killer. Never seen him in anything before. I looked him up and he was in a couple TV shows, but he's kind of electric on screen, kind of. You don't know where he's kind of coming from. He has that Ghostface killer voice from Scream just naturally. So that's kind of how he talks.
Yeah.
But it's darkly funny. The characters are good. And obviously it's bingeable because I watched all 8 episodes in one day. So
Okay.
So, there you go.
So better
If
than
you-
your face implied. That's good to know.
Yes, better than my face implied, especially that I'm not a big Kaylee Cuoco fan. But no, definitely check it out the Peacock. It's like not up there with Poker Face, but it's an enjoyable binge.
Yeah, Cuoco's an interesting one because I am vehemently anti Big Bang Theory.
Me
It
too.
like makes my stomach churn. So it's tough when that's how she kind of bursts onto the scene, right? So I kind of like, I don't know, like labeled her in a certain way of just like, that's her from that thing. And then I had friends who actually worked with her on The Flight Attendant for HBO. And I hear that show's tremendous. And again, like she has a reputation for being a delight otherwise. So like to me, I've been quietly rooting for her, but I haven't seen her in anything or watched anything. So if you're recommending, maybe I'll do it, especially if it's that good of a quick binge.
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes an episode.
Mhm.
And, this is one of those shows where you're okay if you slow watch it too, like watch one or two here, watch one or two here.
Sure.
But I got caught up in a mood where it's like, all right, where's this going? Am I going to figure this guy out? Like
Right.
It keeps you kind of guessing. So
Right.
good watch.
Excellent. Another one from the growing list of our watch lists that we keep trading back and forth. That's good to know. So let's get to the movie stuff because I had, like I said, a big movie marathon today, 3 movies in one day. Have you done that recently, just out of curiosity?
Ooh, it's been about a year. Usually on my birthday, I go see a double feature, but I've never done 3 in a day.
Okay. See, I've done the film festival thing where like I'm there specifically to watch movies. So like it's, I set it up that way where I'm like, I'm out of state. I only have so much time to watch whatever I need to watch. So usually I'll stack them. And I've done 3, maybe even 4 in a day in a film festival setting. But doing it in like a general public movie theater, I haven't done 3 in a very long time. I may have done 2, but even then that's rare, super rare. And I don't know, man, I felt kind of cool about it. I had like this kind of like, like I'm here to do my job kind of a vibe, like, that I'm, not eating as much as I should because, or, trying to limit my snacks and whatever, just to like, I'm like a trained athlete doing this stuff. And I do that at film festivals too, because I don't want to have to get up, go to the bathroom or do any of that stuff. So I like limit my intake of everything and then only do stuff in between. But this one was a close one because I think I got it to where I was half hour, 45 minutes tops between movies.
Ooh.
And I still managed to, get all my meals in, do what I had to do. But it was kind of fun. I was like taking notes and, I'm kind of like seeing, all right, well, what are the trailers on a comedy? Again, the 3 movies that I watched, you couldn't get any different movie to movie than what I watched. It's like sex comedy with Jennifer Lawrence up top, which I did that on purpose because I saw it at 9:30 in the morning. So
Ooh.
I was like, all right, if I already am like, Sunday morning, one bloodshot eye open, you got to start. You don't start out with the heavy stuff. You don't go for a heavy drama. You don't do any of that stuff. You got to go right to something light because you don't want to have to lose something in the translation. So I started with that, then went to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And then after all that long adventure excitement stuff, I went to Asteroid City for the more artsy, Wes Anderson comedy stuff. And again, interesting too, because I love the summer for the fact that I can see a movie that early. And I got 3 movies in before dinner time. That's pretty awesome. So like,
That's a feat.
yeah, and to me, I just love that experience. I love doing that, and it was cool to like check in with like the management and usher people that I knew like in between to be like, all right, did you see it? What's good? With like going back and forth and also checking out the vibe of like who is seeing these movies as well. So this was opening weekend for Indiana Jones, right? But was No Hard Feelings opening this weekend as well? Or was that last weekend?
I believe, no, that was last weekend.
Yeah. And then Asteroid City has been kind of like slowly coming out.
Yeah,
I think it might
the
have
23rd.
Right. So I think, that also opened the week before or what have you. So, it's interesting. Again, I don't want to label the No Hard Feelings thing, especially I'm curious your experience because you also saw this movie. I saw it again Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. for a sex comedy. So maybe, all the teenagers and 20-somethings are not going to wake up that early to go see it. So I had the theater all to myself, which was terrific. How was your experience? When did you see it? How did you see it?
I saw it open. Well, I saw it Thursday afternoon. I went after work, which I love going to the theater on Thursday. It's kind of like my thing now. I just love the vibe there. I went to a 4:45 showing. So not quite the early bird, but like not quite the late show.
Right.
And it was probably a quarter of the way full because, again, second weekend release. You had Indiana Jones opening up this weekend. But I'd say the crowd was a little older, kind of around my age, like late 30s, 40s crowd. And everyone had a blast, man. It was just everyone's laughing. You can hear them. It was just a good time in the theater, which is exactly what I needed.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I had, like I said, a different experience because I'm all by myself, which obviously for a comedy, you don't want to, like, that's not the experience you want, especially if you're going out to the theater to see it. You kind of want to have that kind of like, what does everybody think is funny? What, get that contagious laughter going or something. I would say I laughed like a couple times to myself, which I guess maybe is still a positive because if you're by yourself, it's hard to like sit there like cackling to yourself. You sound like a crazy person. So, but overall, what did you think of the movie? Because I was so pumped to have a studio comedy that I wanted to see out in theaters because you don't get to see a lot of them. But I don't know how much I'm in on this one.
Here's what I'll say. I had mixed feelings on this movie. It made me laugh, like you said, a couple times. I love the supporting cast, though I wish they were in it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I thought they wasted a couple of those actors. But it had more heart than I thought. So a lot of the funny stuff, it's one of those movies where a lot of the clips you saw in the trailer, it was the funny stuff in the movie.
Exactly. I had that same thought.
Outside of like the beach scene, the naked fight scene.
Right.
And we'll get into it towards the end. So, yeah, even though I laughed several times, but I thought it was funny. Jennifer Lawrence can do comedy. I mean, she could do anything. I mean, sure. She's just good. And her co-lead, Andrew Barth Feldman, not familiar with his work at all, but apparently my client said he's on Broadway a lot, so he's coming from the stage. It had heart, and it actually had a decent story where she's like living on this part of New York her whole life, and she's trying to save her house, and people come in during the summer, and it's just one of those movies where it had heart, and I was in a good place. So I actually had a good time. It's a very formulaic movie because you can kind of see what's coming every step of the way. It's coming.
Yeah.
And I had a client who was like, "Oh, that's gross. She's like in her 30s and he's like 19." Well, they make fun of that in the movie. Like they point that out in the movie the entire way. So I'm like, okay, that takes care of that. So I actually had a good time, and I'll reveal my score towards the end. It was cute. It was funny. It had heart. So, and it was an hour and a half, which is like the perfect runtime for a movie like this. You know what I mean?
Right. No, for sure. And honestly, like you said, they do explain it or make fun of the age gap in the movie. But for anybody else, like it's literally like spelled out in the trailer as well, like what the motivations are. And not to mention, Jennifer Lawrence does kind of skew younger than what her actual age is. For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about here, this is about Jennifer Lawrence's character, Maddie, who thinks she's found the answer to her financial troubles when she discovers an intriguing job listing, wealthy helicopter parents looking for someone to date their introverted 19-year-old son. We'll get to that weird age conversation too, by the way. Percy, and bring him out of his shell before he leaves for college. 19, genius, and leaving for college. I think they purposely didn't have it be 18 to make it seem less creepy. So it's right. That's interesting. But Percy proves to be more of a challenge than she expected, and time is running out before she loses it all. Basically, she's, got the green light to bang him for a Buick Regal, a used Buick Regal. So good. I've been told, never shame how people get their money. So you do you, Jennifer Lawrence. So I thought this movie was very straight up down the middle. Like, as far as like, if you're trying to compare it against like other more modern sex comedies that are like of a similar age range or any of those things, I thought this was a little like, it didn't have as many laughs, and again, for us talking about, there's two major scenes of either nudity or some kind of weird sexual thing in this movie. And yet it's a weird complaint to be like, that's it. So, it's not super bad. It's not, it's not even Sex Drive or something like that where it's like more outlandish and maybe a little more hypersexual or whatever. And I think that's because Jennifer Lawrence is older and she's driving the bus here, as opposed to, it's not seen from Percy's eyes. So, or fully his experience. So I think that's why for the most part, it's kind of mature in a lot of spots because there are a lot of mature moves here. But yeah, it's still worth watching, but I'll kick it off if you want. It's probably a 3-star movie, just a straight down the middle. Like, I didn't hate this. Some stuff was funny, and then it was over.
Yeah. I gave it a 3.5. I gave it a bump up, and I'm going to sound like a caveman here, but I don't really care. Kudos for Jennifer Lawrence, who should probably get nominated for an Oscar, because that whole nude beach scene, right? She's cool with doing a topless scene, which you don't get from A-listers anymore because they're all hoity-toity and don't want to show their breasts on camera anymore.
True.
And a lot of people were saying, was it a body double? And there's articles coming out. No, she said she did it.
There's no way.
Yeah, it was within the script. She said she's cool with it. She's having
fun with it.
She produced the movie. Yeah, she produced the movie. So that's a scene that you can see in the 80s rom-coms and that kind of stuff that you don't see today anymore.
Exactly.
And again, for what it was, I appreciated the kind of like throwback 80s kind of sex comedy that was. Because again, you don't get that from A-listers anymore.
For sure.
Because they're, whatever. It's 2023. I know I'm a caveman. But kudos for Jennifer Lawrence.
Hey, she signed up for it. There's no need to be a caveman.
Right.
Like, describe it as such.
And she's a very good-looking... she is a good-looking woman.
Right.
I thought the last joke went a little too far and didn't need to be in the movie.
No, I don't think so either.
When she has the guy on the couch, I thought, that's in bad taste, and that's kind of out of context at this point, I thought.
Yeah. Also, got to be extremely hard to do.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to do that, first of all.
I don't think they're that flexible because they're meant for fingers.
No.
Yeah.
No. Rule of physics, he wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I felt
or get out of that probably without shopping.
I was like, it's kind of unnecessary. But like you said, I had a good time. I laughed, lighthearted, had heart, liked the co-leads. Nice to see Matthew Broderick on screen. So I gave it a 3.5.
Yeah, I gotta say, do you have like any particular lines that you enjoyed? Because I think the one that I liked the most, or one that made me laugh out loud, was "Is her vagina dishwasher safe?" Made me laugh really hard. So that was a good line. There were a couple of those where I was laughing to myself, even though, like I said, I was by myself in the theater. So,
that was a good one when Troy came over to the table. Yeah. That was that whole back and forth was actually pretty funny. That was probably the funniest bits in the whole movie.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. I like the man-eater conversations they were having. There was a bunch of
great scene. I love the piano scene where he goes up and he played. That was actually a good cover.
Yeah, it was. And it was a good arrangement and everything. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
And now that you say that he's been on Broadway, now that makes sense that he has maybe some of the skills that are closer to that world than the movie world. So I'm into it. Good on him, man. Maybe he'll get more work out of it. But yeah, I thought this was pretty straight up. Now, after that, I went and saw Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Again, couldn't get any different than going to see a sex comedy. This movie is, like 2 hours and 25 minutes. So again, a lot longer too. And it didn't feel overly long, so good on them for that. I was actually surprised, not only by the reaction I've seen this weekend, but in my own personal reaction to the movie, because I think you can say the same way I did. I wasn't excited to go see this movie, even though I'm a big Indiana Jones guy, or at least like original 3 trilogy, however you want to put it, even though they're up to 5 movies now. I really like the first 3, and going to see this, it was I heard from a lot of friends making geriatric jokes and everything else, that it's just hard to get excited for an 80-year-old action star of sorts to be making a movie, especially when he's doing an iconic character that you don't want him to mess with, right? I would say, though, I echo a lot of like my friends who saw it over the weekend. It's way better than you would think, and like the critics ripped it apart. And part of me, I wonder if that case is actually something that I didn't like about the movie, which is, we've been around the block. We saw those movies in the 80s, and we like them a certain way, right? We like the almost like the swashbuckling type character, this brute, that can, you feel every punch, you love every scene, the set design is perfect, whatever. We're never going to go back to that. And I think if any critic is of our age or older or what have you, then between that and the de-aging tech that they use for stretches here in the movie, you can get annoyed, or it'll take you out and you'll be like, fuck this movie. And I can't begrudge anyone who has those feelings, because again, we're never going to go back to those type of feelings. However, James Mangold knows how to make a goddamn popcorn action movie, adventure movie, however you want to put it. The guy really knows his stuff, and I enjoyed myself enough with this movie. And the movie plays out like a reverse Last Crusade, where Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the daughter of a certain character that is close to Indiana Jones. Obviously not in previous movies, but like as they portray it in the movie. And then he gets obsessed with a particular thing. Obviously the quote dial that is in the title of the movie. And she gets, into his notebooks, and kind of like the Grail Diaries from Sean Connery in Last Crusade. And she gets, she picks up the trail and tries to go find this thing, and then tries to get Indiana Jones to go on it. And it goes from there. And, it kind of works. There's even they, like I said to people I talked to about the movie before we got on the mics, they kind of copy and pasted just some of the greatest hits. And you can either be annoyed by that, or you could be like, well, what did you expect? This is what we're doing. This is the fifth Indiana Jones movie. You're either in or you're out. And to me, I was in. I was in enough that I enjoyed myself. I'm not going to turn around and go, wow, it's better than any of the original three, because I think those have a special place in my heart. But it's better than Crystal Skull. And I think Mads Mikkelsen was quality casting. Your boy Holbrook was just a trigger-happy brute in this one, doing a more straight-up role, which I enjoyed. And it just works. It works enough. But I did have issues with the de-aging, as it were, because much like when they did Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian, you kind of don't get the emotion in the face because you're, de-aging or swapping whatever you're doing, you're digitally enhancing whatever you're doing, that you just can't get certain emotions. It's like you have to be so stoic, and it doesn't always work, especially when you're in like these big action scenes and such. But I will say to their credit that they did like and set the stunt coordination well enough that even though they were de-aging and in a fight, that it doesn't really matter, because you wouldn't have seen their face, whether because of the lighting or the choreography, that it doesn't really matter. But there are certain scenes where you just go, I'm not buying it.
Gotcha.
So it will get knocked down for that. I'd probably say this is, again, a 3 seems low, a 3.5 seems kind of hot. So I'm in
Go ahead
that
and cheat
kind of,
like you normally do.
I will cheat, and I will say probably 3.25, just to say. And it's probably getting around those scores right now. So I think everything is kind of fair. I could see, obviously a less discerning audience being overjoyed by this movie. When I saw the movie, it was packed in the theater, midday on a Sunday. So I think this movie's going to have good returns. I haven't seen any box office yet on that. So yeah, I think it's going to do well, and I think it might have a little bit of legs, not like a Maverick thing or anything, but I think more than what maybe people thought.
Okay, well, I might have to check this out. Obviously I haven't seen it yet. It was low on my list because of the Crystal Skull, which I shouldn't blame this movie for that atrocity.
Yeah.
But when I saw the runtime, I was like, oh God, can I sit there through the whole thing? Why? And that's the only reason, honestly, why I was hesitant on seeing this movie. Do I want to see a 2.5 hour Indiana Jones movie?
Right.
But you know what, sir? You may have convinced me to go see that on 4th of July.
Yeah. Hey, it's playing the hits. So again, if you get annoyed by that, fine. But I would also ask you why you're in the movie theater if you're not rooting for kind of a sense of the hits at least. And at least we're not chasing aliens this time or doing something ridiculous. But, I think it works. And it does get into still some level of sci-fi fantasy in a sense. So, if that turns you off in a Indiana Jones adventure, maybe be more hesitant. But I don't think people who are into it will be sad. And there's even some callbacks to older characters that might make you well up with emotion at times too. So, and I don't know if I finished my sentence, but basically like there is their own version of Short Round in here too that is, I guess less racially problematic than the 80s version. So it's a good update. So, they know what they were doing. Mangold knew what he was doing, and it works. It works just enough. The third movie I saw was Wes Anderson's Asteroid City, which, I am a Wes Anderson fan. I was very tempted to have my own personal Wes Anderson rankings locked and loaded before we got on the mics, but I will spare you because I know you're not the biggest Wes Anderson guy, though you told me you were looking to maybe see this on the 4th of July coming up in a couple days. So what intrigued you, yourself about that plot with that movie to go do it, even though you're not the biggest fan?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. I'm 50-50. The last movie we had on HBO Max didn't work for me. The 3 short story ones that it just didn't do anything for me.
The French Dispatch?
Yeah.
See, I like that movie. I'm an apologist for that movie, yeah.
Right. But, I saw the trailer for this movie and I'm like, okay, Wes Anderson. Oh, okay. All right. And then I went through the cast and I'm like, oh my God, like this is a who's who in the cast. I'm like, all right. I mean, you got me. The cast actually got me. The concept, because we all know how out there Wes Anderson is. He's just an eccentric kind of director. Right. And I was like, okay, the cast with ScarJo and Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston. And again, a who's who. I'm like, okay, you got me. The cast got me on this one.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll go see it.
And I like I said, I'm a bigger fan than you are. I'm apologist more of these things. I like the French Dispatch, so I think he's still doing quality films. He always gets those great casts. It's always an impressive list, and a lot of the people who are in his last few movies are back. You get your Ed Nortons, Tom Hanks is now in the fold. He always ends up with a Tilda Swinton, and there's always some. Jason Schwartzman is a big component. Steve Carell. It's a million people. I could go on and on and on. Hope Davis, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing about this movie is not only is it like a fourth wall breaking meta thing that they use as a device, which is like probably as some people like to say, it's the most Wes Anderson-y thing Wes Anderson could do, even though he's never really done that before. But I don't know. I was hoping it kind of felt like, especially the way it was staged, it felt closer to like a Moonrise Kingdom in terms of its cinematography and some of the way they set up the blocking and everything else. That I was just like, okay, I can handle that. I like Moonrise Kingdom, and that is not what this movie is. And in fact, there's a scene late in the movie where the lead character played by Jason Schwartzman, if you can call a lead in this large ensemble, is kind of like walking up and talking to the director. And he's like, I don't fully understand what this movie is about. And I was like, me too, bro. I have no fucking clue what this movie is trying to say. I don't know what this movie is trying to accomplish. It's not that constantly entertaining to just even be like, well, I'm just picking up the vibes. I like the atmosphere. I like something because, Wes Anderson could be a little out there sometimes. I got to say, this is probably, there's 2 Wes Anderson movies that I just completely didn't get, like, or whatever. And this is one of those 2. I was bored. I was constantly searching for meaning or whatever, why I was watching the story, why this story exists. And I couldn't come up with it. And meanwhile, it has a 3.7 on Letterboxd, and I want someone who thoroughly enjoyed it. And there are some critics that I follow on Letterboxd who gave this thing like 4.5 stars and 5 stars. So I want those people to tell me what the hell, because to me, this is not peak Wes Anderson. This is not even French Dispatch Wes Anderson. this is the only other movie I don't like in his catalog is the Darjeeling Limited. I never got that movie. I thought it was annoying, and this movie's not annoying. It's just lifeless a lot of times, where I just don't get what we're doing, especially when there is like a I think they even say in the trailer there's like a subplot, a main plot, whatever, because there's a million subplots. There's no real A plot, I guess, but the main family that shows up that Jason Schwartzman is the father of, and Tom Hanks is the grandfather in, the mother passed away like 3 weeks prior, and he just now tells them while they're in Asteroid City that the mother passed away, and he even has like her ashes in a Tupperware thing, which is kind of a laugh line thing. And that's not like a main thing. Like, the thing isn't about grief. The thing isn't about, going through all that. It's bizarre. I don't have a hold on it. I like someone to explain what they found appealing about it. But to me, this is low tier Wes Anderson, where literally the movie ended and some people clapped in the theater, and I wanted to like stay behind and be like, seriously, what the fuck? So it was one of those where, again, I'm not mad at it. I just want to understand it, and I don't.
Well, wow. Way to end the show on a great positive note. No, well, you talked me into what movie I'm going to go see on the 4th of July.
Well, good. At least I'm doing something hopefully helpful for people.
I think when it comes to some critics, it doesn't matter who the director or writer is. They're going to give a positive review of it,
I guess, but I didn't see like raves for French Dispatch or anything.
I mean, I've seen it with other directors, like Tarantino's last couple films, where I wasn't high on, but like people were just like falling over themselves for it. I'm like, did we watch the same movie? And I'm glad you kind of told me about the whole fourth wall breaking with Schwartzman going up to the director, because I would have walked out of the theater at that point, because
yeah, this is not a Shane. I don't know what Wes Anderson ones work for you, whether it's Budapest, Royal Tannenbaums, Rushmore, those type.
Yeah, it's his earlier ones. It's Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, Royal Tannenbaums.
Right.
That's, to me, is where I like him in that bag.
Yeah.
His last couple just didn't do anything for me. But, yeah, that would have taken me out of the movie, because it automatically made me think of, and I know this is blasphemy and I'm going to get shit for this.
Okay.
But it's the reason why I don't like Blazing Saddles. It's the reason I don't like Blazing Saddles. To find out that whole movie was nothing but a directed sham.
Right.
With all it just took me out of what I just watched.
Sure.
And I know people love it and put it in their top 5 comedies. I don't understand that movie. So I'm glad you gave me the heads up, because honestly, I would have got up and walked out.
Right.
Like, I'm done.
Right.
So yes.
Yeah. Because that is Cranston's character. He is like kind of a narrator that kind of lives between worlds, and it's a very odd construction. I think people maybe like that construction, and that's what made them think this is so unique, that they think, wow, it's great. And trust me, I love the fact that Wes Anderson gets to be like this, that he gets to be eccentric. He gets to kind of go with his vision and doesn't really have to compromise. And a lot of times his style works.
Mm-hmm.
But, I personally am the same as you, where I think he peaked many moons ago. I think Moonrise Kingdom was like a little fun way to get kind of back into my good graces, even though I still think it's lower than his prime, but it was enough for me to like keep up with him. I liked French Dispatch, and this one just didn't work for me at all. So I'll be interested if you ever catch it. We'll have to have a later day conversation, or if you ante up, I don't know what your 4th of July plans are, but if you end up doing it, I'm very interested to know what you think. And I'm interested to know, audience, if you guys listen to us and you want to challenge my thoughts or tell me why I'm wrong, even though I'm not, that would be great. We can have a nice dialogue, because I am curious. I am curious why people seem to enjoy this so much. I did enjoy, there are things I did enjoy. There is the kind of like some of the unique stuff about the city itself. Like, they have a vending machine for real estate to buy in Asteroid City. That's kind of fun. They have a cocktail vending machine. It's like Steve Carell's little world, and he runs the inn and stuff, and there's fun stuff with that. I think the relationship between Scarlett Johansson's character and Jason Schwartzman is interesting. I found that pretty compelling. Other than that, not much to go with. A little bit of Tom Hanks is okay in here, and it's a very different character for him. And, I think he fits into that West world. I couldn't tell you that he doesn't, but yeah, it just didn't grab me. I can't say anything other than that. But so for next week, though, I think
whoa, back up real quick.
What did we miss? What did we miss? Oh, what did I miss?
Your grade.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta slap a grade on this, big boy.
I'm going to be kind and say 2.5, because I can't say it was like annoying, bad, or anything. I was just searching for something that wasn't there. And so it felt more lifeless or boring at times than I hoped. So, yeah, so 2.5. You're right.
Fair enough.
Keep me honest. So again, for a day, of 3 movies that I was, very up for in various ways, to go 3-star, 3.25, and 2.5. It's kind of in the summertime when we're supposed to be getting some peak stuff. That's a little tough. And especially looking at what we got coming up, obviously the day of, we got Mission Impossible on 1 week, and then obviously the doubleheader of Oppenheimer Barbie, that will be interesting for that. But yeah, next week, it's interesting. I didn't see a trailer for Insidious The Red Door until today, and I'm like, that seems kind of, interesting enough, or at least scary enough that I could waste some time on that, maybe. But Joyride, I've been looking forward to. That's kind of like at least the better, more modern kind of sex comedy version of things coming out in a way. Not really a sex comedy, but like a road trip comedy. It's like more girls trippy or whatever. So I'm into that. But, I believe you said that you are possibly out next week, right? So we're going to...
Yes, sir. I will be gone next week.
Yeah. So I got to figure out to see whether I want to kind of maybe go with what's out, or maybe go with a little bit of a mix here. Maybe do, like I said, I've been chomping at the bit to kind of do like a horror themed episode, checking in on, maybe I'm going to, watch Evil Dead Rise finally, and, maybe I end up watching Insidious The Red Door, or see if there's other ones that came out this year. I've seen on Letterboxd, a bunch of my friends were posting about Unwelcome. I've seen posted from a few people. It only has a 2.7, but the certain friends of mine voted it quite highly, so I might check that out. I wonder if that's on either a Shudder or something else right now that I might go check that out. Seems interesting. Also, maybe kind of take stock and see what else for horrors coming out for the rest of the year. You mentioned, you reminded me about The Boogeyman. I also haven't watched, so maybe, is that on PVOD right now already?
Not that I know of. It's still in the theater.
Okay. Maybe I'll have to seek that out, because I don't know if I saw that was playing at the movie theater I was at today anyway, so I will double check that. But yeah, man, you will be missed. I'll have to kind of check out the vibes and see where my heart takes me, and see where we go there. But at least after that, we'll be here for all the big time action stuff coming down the pike before we... Oh, yeah, and Talk to Me. Talk to Me is coming up. Did you see the trailer for that one, too?
I saw the trailer. I'm in on that one.
I'm in on that, too. That was at Sundance, and it got a strong response, where it's like kind of tempting fate with a severed dead hand or something that makes you see things or something. It's crazy. And of course, I saw the trailer again today for the Meg 2, so we'll have that to contend with. So we'll see. Also, check out my latest review for what's on Netflix.com. I watched Nimona, which I was surprised at how much I liked. So check out my review and check out that movie. Are you into the animated stuff?
It's funny. I'm halfway through Nimona right now.
Are you? I enjoyed it.
I'm liking it so far.
How do you like the animation? Because that was the only thing. There was some world building and animation stuff that I was a little hesitant on. Otherwise, I really liked the story.
Yeah, I like the story. Like you said, the animation, once in a while, I'm like, okay. But I like it. It's fine.
Yeah. I thought the characters were well drawn. It was just some of the background and world stuff that I was just okay. because it's an odd construction. It's more of like a neo-medieval town of sorts. It's odd how they carry the traditions but have modern tech. It's interesting. So, but I enjoyed that. I can highly recommend that one as well. So you guys have a lot to watch. If you have seen these, let us know what you thought of that on the social media at Recent Act Pod. Of course, also, give us a nice review if you don't mind, a nice 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice, Apple, Spotify, wherever you want to do that. Subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do. Keep engaged with us, guys. We like to hear from you. And thank you again for listening, and come back next week for more recent activity.